Welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Dylan, how you going, mate?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no, early AM. We're used to it now at this point.
Yep.
I guess for the listeners, like I'm just still getting into this whole podcasting thing still, but can you talk to us a bit about yourself? It's been a wild month, 2 months between the two of us. Yeah, I guess get right into it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, obviously it's early in our true fashion, 7 a.m. Been for a run already and grinding. So yeah, my name's Dylan, obviously, and I'm brand new into this endurance space. It's been a wild ride so far, and I've been loving it. I've always been a super active person. I did a lot of sport growing up, and specifically, I trained heavily in tennis. Took that very seriously until I was about 16, and then I ended up with a double meniscus tear. So both knees out of action, and it was terrible. It was really hard. I didn't really know how to process it at the time. Had surgery, came out in the double knee braces, all locked up in a wheelchair, and it shook me to my core. It really did. I didn't really think about it too much at the time, but it just destroyed my confidence when it came to sport. And I know everyone talks about, career-ending injuries and things like that, but it wasn't necessarily physical. Obviously, I healed and I repaired, but the mental aspect took a long time. And basically left school and built a landscaping business. Threw myself head over heels into that. I've always been a super driven, passionate person. I want to get the most out of the things that I do. And I let my fitness go. I didn't train too much. I went to the gym here and there. Didn't do a whole lot. About last year, I started boxing and fell in love with sport again and the commitment to grinding physically and bettering myself. Unfortunately, during a sparring session, I broke my thumb and it put me out for about 3 months, the doctor said. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do in 3 months' time. That's a long time. I've been boxing now for 9 months. I was feeling really, really good. So I started running, just hand in a splint and ran along. And eventually then, once I was cleared, I could start doing some physio in the pool, started swimming. I was running, I was swimming. I figured, well, let's do a triathlon. Hey? Let's
complete
do a
the
triathlon.
trifecta.
I was in that mindset where I was looking for new challenges. And I had a friend that had done one of the 2 times U races, and they pretty much have 6 races over the summer in Melbourne. And I thought, why not? Let's sign up for a few of them. So I signed up for 3 of those, and that's kind of where the love for endurance sports started. And yeah, so trained myself for the first 8 weeks, I would say. Just running, riding, swimming. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just loved the grind and it kept me busy. I did my first race and I just loved it. The whole build up to it, the atmosphere, everything, the challenge, the unknown. It excited me so much, and I just wanted to see like what's next. And basically, yeah, here we are now at a 100-kilometer race around the corner, race week.
That's incredible, mate. And we've obviously crossed paths because of connections that I have at Greensboro Tri Club and through Blaze. And it's just like crazy how the world works, like the 7 wonders or something. Yeah. Have you heard of that one? Just like, people through 7 different people or like 7 different connections. Yes. I feel like I've butchered the actual saying of it, but there is a saying that, like I could be connected to Donald Trump through 7 people. But anyway, not about Donald Trump. It's about you, Dylan. Talk to us a bit about your double knee injury. I think as Australians, sports are so prominent across everyone. Like everyone sort of grows up playing sports, and injuries can be like just the worst. I have a mate who's ruptured 2 ACLs recently, and he's built up his whole career around like wanting to play football and play soccer at a high level, and it's just left him with this identity rut. Like, is that something that you experienced? You sort of touched on the idea that you didn't really deal with it too well.
Yeah, I agree. It's something you don't really prepare for, and when you do train at a higher level and you're trying to push that upper limit, all of a sudden, you go from this huge amount of workload and you get all the dopamine rushes all the time when you do all the training. So you're always feeling good. And so when something like that happens in an instant and it's all taken away, and then you don't know how to deal with it because it happens and, there's all that commotion, but then the dust settles and the days start to tick over and you're not moving and you're not being active and you can just see that goal slipping away slowly. And yeah, it's really, really demanding. And I feel like the more invested you are in the goal that you're trying to achieve, the harder that injury hits. And we definitely don't talk about it enough. And at 16, when it happened, I didn't know how to process. I didn't think too much of it. I kind of just wallowed away and just pushed it away and basically accepted my fate that I've done this injury and now I won't play again. But that wasn't the case. But I didn't have anyone to tell me otherwise. And I'm not grateful for that because I had a really supportive family that were nurturing and were, it's okay. Like, you don't have to do this anymore. But I kind of wish I had someone that did push me back to get back to it. But yeah, definitely the injuries rock the mental edge for sure.
Definitely. I think sports takes no prisoners as well. Like my brother even just ruptured an ACL and he's gunning for volleyball at a pretty high level. So it's one of those things where, I don't know, there's not that like person that necessarily tells you like you're going to be okay, especially with a system where if you go to a doctor and you've got low back pain, they'll tell you to just rest and like sit on your ass for a few weeks. But it's like, how can you be robust? How can you move and work through and rehab through that injury?
Yeah. I agree.
Mate, talk to us a bit about your business. You went straight out of high school and started this landscaping, landscaping company. What prompted that?
Yeah. So 18, finished school, like most of us, no clue what's going on. No clue what's going on.
Yeah.
I studied hard. I'm good at seeing a task and sticking to it. And I had no idea what to do, so I thought, well, study hard. You'll figure it out. Got to 18, finished school, hadn't figured it out. So
what? You hadn't?
Yeah, I know, wild. Same story.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, go to uni. Same story. Like, I don't know what I want to do, but I like the idea of business. So I signed up for like a Bachelor of Business at RMIT and pretty much just started chipping away to that. Now, my dad, basically a lawn maintenance guy. So does lawn mowing and house maintenance, things like that. And I would work with him on school holidays, just pushing lawn mowers and whippersnippers and all that. And I thought, well, why don't I just borrow dad's tools and make all the money myself? So when dad wasn't working, I would take the lawnmower and the whip snipper out and try and find people that would need their lawns mowed. It just started to accumulate slowly. It's just that compounding consistency, which I've taken into my training, but basically just started chipping away at trying to get more and more clients. And I got addicted to it. I was like, I want more clients. I want more people. Eventually I had a full-time job mowing lawns. But I was making all this money because, we come out of school, we never work full-time in our life. And I just kept looking for more and more ways to upskill and started taking on, just saying yes to everything. If a client would ask me to build something small in their backyard, sure. I would spend 4 hours on YouTube that night learning how to do it, asking dad questions, Googling relentlessly, and then coming to work the next day to do whatever they wanted to do. Because I just wanted to learn. I wanted new experiences and I wanted to better myself in any way I could. And eventually it's now blossomed into a retaining wall business. I found a gap in the market, started looking into websites, lead generation, all of that. Really started to get in the nitty gritty of building a business and a company, really. Started getting employees, machinery, equipment, and we started to really grow. And yeah, we blossomed into this landscape construction business that I'm super, super grateful for. I'm really proud of this journey. It's been 6 years now. So these things take time, It's not, people will be like, yeah, I want a business, I want to make all this money. Yeah, 6 years it's taken me to get to a point where I can now get back to focusing on myself. It just takes it all out of you. You need to be all in. And that mindset of being all in is now coming to my training. So I'm really pulling back on the business and allowing it to do its thing. And now I'm starting to go all in on this endurance events.
Did you finish your degree?
I didn't.
I read that. And I love the idea of you just jumping on YouTube and learning. Like, I think, let's say 70% of degrees nowadays is probably on YouTube. Like, you can just Google that and probably learn more, and actually going out and doing the experience as well, instead of sitting in a lecture hall, lecture theatre, having unengaged tutors just talk at you for X amount of hours per week. So incredible. And I think you embody the idea of this, I believe Alex Hormozy said it, but the idea of pushing and pivoting in life. Like, we never remain stagnant in life.
Yeah.
You are either pushing towards something. So for you, it was creating this business, making sure that you were growing, finding ways to scale to the point where it's now 6 years down the line and you have the opportunity to pivot into ultra marathon running and focusing on yourself, which is just incredible. And I think I just want to touch on the idea that there are jobs to be done. Like, people would look down on the idea that, oh, you're just mowing lawns, but it's like, well, grass grows.
Yeah.
You know, lawns need to be mowed. And I think particularly amongst my age group or age demographic, I think there's this like sense of entitlement that, oh, like you're doing labor intensive jobs, like what are you doing? Like, I'd rather go into an office and like scale and earn that 6 figures and stuff. But I don't think there's that understanding that these things scale like exponentially, and you're a product of that as well.
There's definitely opportunity in everything. I don't think it matters what you do. You're right, there is a stigma when it comes to those kind of jobs, but these people are the backbone of everything else. You know, someone's got to do that work. And I feel like if you're passionate about anything, whatever it is that you want to do, no matter how insignificant it might seem to you, it's worth doing. If it's worth doing to you, you can make it profitable. You can make it your lifestyle. So I think it's definitely a lesson there for sure, is to follow your gut, follow your heart. Don't worry about the stigma and everything else that's happening, and just do what feels right to you. And yeah, I didn't finish my degree. I did 6 months, I'm pretty sure, before I actually spoke. I spoke to one of my lecturers, and I told him about this business model that I had, and I started to look at the websites and all that. And he turned around and he said, "Are you ever planning to work for someone else?" And I said, "No." He said, "Why are you here? Do you need a degree? Do you need a degree to work for yourself?" And I said, "No." It's like, "No, you don't. You don't. You've got a head on your shoulders. You've got a plan. You just need the confidence to push it." And he said, "Honestly, you can stay here and you can get your degree, but I think you're wasting your time." And that was really strange, because I thought, hey, that's someone who's, working at this uni, teaching us this degree, and he's told me it's wasting my time. But, at the end of the day, he was basically, it's a degree so that you can go and get into the other jobs where you learn all the necessary skills for that job anyway. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of degrees that you need a degree for. But in my case, it wasn't relevant. And that was a bit of a push that I needed to be like, oh, maybe I'm capable. Maybe I do have what it takes. And those 6 months, I definitely learned, some things in terms of business, but I learned a hell of a lot more as soon as I stepped away.
100%. You can't put the theory into practice and expect to, I guess, succeed. Like, there's these models, and yes, it's incredible, but you actually have to go out and do the work as well. And I was chatting to one of the PTs at my gym, and the idea of experience came up, and I think experience has almost this warped perception of, oh, I need to work under someone to do something. But experience can literally be like just hanging out with mates, creating content, and just seeing where that goes, or mowing lawns and just seeing where that goes as well. Like, that is also experience. It doesn't have to be this placeholder in a resume.
No, I totally agree. The experience that we all have in general, it all comes towards our work, whatever it is that we do. So even experience from all my training, it's coming into my work, and it's rubbing off on my employees, and they're starting to try and make healthier choices, and they come to me like, "Hey, I did this in the gym today," or "I went for a run," and it's infectious. And I love it.
Yeah, I rate that. One last point on like the idea of entrepreneurship and stuff. I think it's important to use that push pivot mentality and just pick something, because you can either push into it but then have that outlet out and just pivot into something else. You will attain necessary skills and hold on to them, and you'll be able to apply that elsewhere as well, which is incredible. So we've crossed paths, and you've sort of slid into my DMs as well. Yeah. Can you talk to us a bit about that, and maybe we'll get into the ultra marathon and what that all entails?
Definitely. So the story of Jaden, for sure.
Make it about me.
Yeah,
No.
let's make it about Jaden. So yeah, I obviously started the triathlon journey and did the first triathlon by myself. And for the second one, I was like, I want a coach. I need some help. I feel like, I went out there, I thought I was doing really well on my own, but then when I got compared to everyone else, I was nowhere near it. And I reached out to Greensborough Triathlon Club. They're the local club in my area. And they were super welcoming, invited me along, and that's where I actually met Blaze, my coach. Now, I heard of you through them because you were actually doing all of their
socials,
content. Yeah. And so I thought, oh, okay, this is cool. We've got this young guy. He looks really enthusiastic, and he's in the space. You're already working with athletes and things like that. So then you came to my coach's run club, and that's where we kind of officially met for the first time. And I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, Jaden's here, cool. He's getting some videos, and then finished the run club. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting some videos of my own. I feel like, and you had that energy about you. You're just super, super humble, but also like really, really warm to anyone. We come up to you and, hey mate, how you going? Like, really nice to meet you. People don't do that. People aren't like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, I'm Jaden. Nice to meet you. You're like, hey, like, how you going? Like, how's your run? I never met you before. Why are you being so nice to me? I'm thinking, I'm so new to this space, and I talk about the idea of going all in. And I'm like, I need someone to help me grow. And your personality and your drive just drew me straight in. And then the more we've got chatting, the more I'm like, this man, we're on the same level. You talk about going all in as well, especially in your content space, the podcast. It's really great just seeing how much you're growing in the span of a month or 6 weeks of knowing you. So it's definitely been a great journey. And I think the universe has put us together for a reason. And I can't wait to grow together and see where we end up.
Mate, such kind words. And I think when I saw that message, I was literally like, what does life become? Sort of thing. And I think I love the idea that you just have to go about life being nice to people. I think like when you give and give and give, like surely at some point there is like that return on investment. Not that I think of it in that sense, but I just think like shout out to my parents as well, like raised two incredible kids. Like my brother and I think just killing it almost. And you just have to approach life in a way that's like encompassing all as well. Like it's a community at the end of the day, and we have to interact with one another, whether you are working a desk job that is like faceless and you don't really interact with people, you're still contributing to this idea of like a network and a hub as well. So just like be nice. It's not hard. I think it's free, literally. like just be nice. It's free, literally. So I appreciate the really kind words, and like it's been a pleasure working with you, and just the opportunity that's come by. Like you've pushed me to go all in as well, and this idea of don't half-ass it. Like watching you train, watching you show up each morning. Like you're up at 4 most mornings, just like grinding, and that's in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, how can I show up for Dylan as well and make sure that his content is up to game, and we really take this to a new level.
I think we are. I mean, the content that you've been producing for me recently is just, it's next level. You've gone above and beyond the new equipment and all the study and all the editing you're doing behind the scenes. Like it's a lot of work. So I'm just so excited. I'm so excited.
Literally, and we're both just like grinning. So I'm just like, I can't help it.
We know, because when you find someone that's like on your level, I feel like it's rare. It's rare, especially the more you try to elevate, upskill, and push the upper limit. It's always good to be in the same company because you can feel the energy in the room, and we're both pretty excited, I think, for what's to come.
100%. Let's expand on that topic. Actually, I think like finding your people is incredibly rare as well. And I think a lot of young adults struggle to do that. And then wound up in positions where now they're married, they have a family, and then that's like their people sort of thing. So, are there any tips that you have in navigating that? You obviously employ a few people, you work with people as well. Like, would you say they're your people? Would you say other people are your people? Like, how have you gone about it?
Yeah, that's great. Great point you've made, because I've been told I'm pretty cutthroat when it comes to people, and it's very true. High school, you have that ego, you want lots of friends. It's really about quantity. It's about your outreach, how many people you know, all your network, everything like that. The more I've got into the training and the business and really refining myself, I've really made my circle a lot smaller. I've got 5 or 6 really, really close friends, and I'm so grateful for that. And those people I know I could go to for anything. I can be completely transparent with, I can be myself, and they understand who I am. I really don't, without being rude, I don't have time for people that aren't like that. I see it all the time. We still all have almost like social obligations. Like, oh, I have to go to this friend's birthday party, or I have to see this person I haven't seen in a while. Do you want to see them? Are they taking you to where you want to be in life? We are a product of our environment. We 100% are. And the people you surround yourself with is going to greatly impact where you go in life. And even in the last couple of months, I'm starting to surround myself more with new connections, and they're all in the space that I'm in terms of endurance sports or getting after it, and having that mentality that resonates with me. So I've definitely lost a lot of friends, and not in a bad way. It's not like we've had big fallings out, but I've allowed us to separate. Sometimes that's okay. It's okay, because things are going to run its course. We're all on different paths. And especially now, early 20s, mid 20s, we're really starting to find out what we're here for. And we're starting to follow our nose a little bit and get a bit of confidence, but maybe I should try this. Or, you have friends moving across the country now and in all kinds of different jobs, and we don't have time for 100 different people anymore. So I think it's really important to work out who you truly believe you want in your life and who you really want to spend time with, because your time is so important. It's so important. We all have 24 hours in a day, and it's how we use it. And if you're spending time dealing with things that aren't necessary to your life, and problems with friends and even family to a degree, I just don't have time for it. If you want to be the best version of yourself and even achieve things that people can't imagine achieving, you got to go a different way.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I think it brings me back to the idea of high school. I think so many people are still friends with high school mates, which is fine. Like, that's completely fine. But I reflect back on it, and I think that when you really think about it, high school friends happen because you were the same age and in the same sort of area as well. And it doesn't really mean that they're necessarily your people. And I found that going out of high school, you are almost not obligated, but in a way you are, to being friends with them, because you hold on to so many memories. But whether those memories are like productive to your growth is the question I pose to, I guess, the listeners and even yourself as well. It's like, are you just holding on to that friendship because, oh, we went through that like party that one time, or we went through VCE together? And I find that sometimes the chats are more reminiscent than they are looking into the future, which is a clear indicator that maybe these people aren't like growing at the same rate as me, which is fine. Totally fine. But it's about having that hard conversation with yourself as well. And even some uni people you chat to, and you're like, you're not relating anymore. You're sort of looking back and you say, oh, remember that time when, and it's just like that conversation doesn't light me up anymore. I don't care about that first year party that we went to. Like I yes, it was a fun night, but I'm moving on to bigger and better things as well. And it's about sitting down and being real with yourself. Am I growing? is this relationship serving me, or is it just like reminiscent of the past?
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there. I think it triggered me then to think it's a clear indicator if when you're catching up with someone, you're seeing these people, you're only talking about the past and you're reminiscing about the past experiences. There's 100% a place for that. But if you can't talk about authentically you, your dreams, your aspirations, where you want to be, you know, those deep-seated conversations that you get a lot out of having conversations with people, then they're not the right person for you. They're just not.
It's so hard as well. Like, it's easier said than done to let go of the relationship. So have you thought about how you did? I guess you sort of touched on the idea that you let it outgrow, or you let the distance grow a little bit. Like, how did you go about that?
Yeah, well, it comes down to saying no to events. That was really the main thing. I think I was fortunate, of course, but you have all these, it gets to a point where you've got an event every weekend. You know, you got a friend's birthday or this or that, or we're all going out or we're doing this. And I just stopped going. And the people that I still wanted to see, I would see. And if people wanted to still see me, they would maybe reach out. But that really refined my group, because all of a sudden, I'm not going out and doing the stereotypical things anymore. I'm not going to the pubs. I'm not going out drinking. We're not partying. We're not doing all those fun things. Now I'm maybe not fun. I don't want to be fun then, because that you're experiencing something in this moment for this short amount of time, where I'm experiencing life 7 days a week now. Every day is purposeful, it's driven, and I get a lot out of it. And all the stuff that those type of friends were doing, nothing wrong with it. There's a place for it. And if they get a lot out, people get a lot out of it. Really stressful week. That's their way of, you know, unloading, de-stressing. That's great. It wasn't for me. It doesn't correlate with what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to achieve. That is just setting me back. And so the right people, it just all finds each other. And especially the more you start to lock in on yourself, and you got to be a little bit selfish. You know, I had this goal of this ultra, and I do not have time to see people. You really don't. And it's more like, you know, I'm seeing people 1 or 2 times a week. If I'm lucky, it might be 1 or 2 friends, and they all understand. And that my time with them is really precious as well, but it's limited. And so I can't see all these parties and do all these things and stay out late, because it's just not going to work.
100%. You can't be living for the weekend. I don't know, you can be, but I feel like the both of us don't see that being, I guess, something that you look forward to.
It's really hard for me to justify it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you do that, you destroy yourself at the start of the week. We all know that. Like, you got to be real.
100%. I literally went out, like this weekend gone by was one of my most social weekends. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have something like that every once in a while, but it's knocked me back a few pegs. Like, I seriously felt it in the work that I was doing. I was literally like, I'm just not present right now with the work that I'm doing. So this whole week has been like, no, let's just get the ball rolling sort of thing.
Catch back up.
And the idea of, saying no, I think we feel so guilty, and the idea of FOMO and everything, but it doesn't matter. And people are always like, oh, like, you know, we'll wait another hour maybe, and then we'll leave because we don't want to upset the person. They don't care. They've got like all these other people as well, like in terms of birthdays and events and stuff. They don't care. No. They've got other friends here as well. Like, you don't matter as well. It's about understanding that and not having that ego of, oh, if I leave, then the whole like party's done, you know, and I feel so guilty.
There's, you know, we're talking about a minute, like a small part of time, tiny part of time, and a tiny part of your life. And we build up this anxiety and this feeling of obligation towards people, and it's so not necessary. Like you said, they're just going to forget about it. It's not a big deal.
Literally.
Life's going to go on.
Life goes on, literally. And obviously you can bring up but we could die any day, that sort of shit. But we could, but it's like, I'd rather look back, and I guess before this, we just spoke a bit about like the deathbed thing, but I'd rather look back and be like, I went all in, and it wasn't like, I don't think I'll be lying on my deathbed and be like, oh wow, I didn't go to so-and-so's party, or like, oh, I didn't go to the pub that night. Yeah,
like, the pub's always going to be open. There's always going to be a party. There's always going to be opportunity to do those things. But the time is now to seize the goals and the ambitions and those deep-seated desires that we all have within ourselves. If you're in your 20s and you've got some deep gut feelings about things you want to do, you better be seizing them.
Yeah. I can do it now.
It's the time. It's going to go quick.
Literally. One of my mates who's currently slogging it out in an internship said, I wish I chose your path. And I was like, you can't, no offense to them, but you can't just say that. I feel like that's so invalidating to the work that I've put behind the scenes. And I want to ask if you've experienced that as well. But he said, I wish I chose your path because it looks like you're doing really well now. And it's like, well, I've been slogging it out since, I want to say even year 7. Like I picked up a camera in year 7, did YouTube videos, put that persona on the shelf because you get picked on, teased, bullied.
7, man.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And then year 10 started the podcast and it was like, I can rope in a few friends. So it's like collateral, right? Like the load is spread in terms of like who takes the piss out of you and whatnot. Yeah. Dropped it because of VCE and education is so important. And then went into uni and I was doing weekly episodes, like podcast episodes throughout my undergrad degree while juggling subjects and everything. Yes, it was a bit inconsistent and it was a bit sporadic here and there, but I still continued to show up for myself for those 3 years. And even post-uni as well, just showing up for myself. Now it's starting to compound. It's like, if you look at it, it's, and we can frame it in the lens of your business as well, that 6-year window. For me, it was like 7 through to now. Like, a long time of me just, for the most part, the early stages passively compounding, but that's still actions towards a particular goal. Yeah, it's just like incredible.
That kind of comment, I wish I chose your path, or you have it so lucky, you have these opportunities. It's so naive. It's so naive because they don't know what you've done. But also, if they were to think about it, say this person wants to start a content business, wants to start podcasting, wants to put themselves out there. Deep down, they know the work that needs to be done. They know what they need to do. They need to put themselves out there to be ridiculed, to be in the spotlight, to put themselves on a platter for everyone else, pretty much. They know, like, to a degree what needs to be done, but they're not willing to do it. They've taken another path because that's what they've chosen. Maybe because it's easier. Maybe because that's what they want to do. But if they turn around and say, hey, I wish I had your path, you could have done it, mate.
Absolutely. One thing that really resonates with me is a piece from Atomic Habits, James Clear. Recently read that, and he spoke to the idea that, what is it? You don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems, or something like that. I've completely butchered the quote, but heard something along the lines of that. But the idea that stuck out to me was, if we were all determined by our goals, we'd all be successful. And plain and simple as that. But who is actually willing to show up, refine their systems, show up every day and get after it? Not many people. And he used the idea of the Olympic British cycling team. There was a period where they were just shit. Like they were really, really horrible and just didn't win anything, didn't place. And then they went through a decade of like winning Tour de France, winning the Olympics, winning everything because they refined their systems. I think there was like a passage where they were like blowing dust off like the bike wheels so that they wouldn't slip on like the track because they're racing around that like wooden circle. Yeah. So even small 1%ers like that, which ultimately compounded and everything. But it's like they're an Olympic level team. They're not going to the Olympics with the idea of, oh yeah, we're going to lose.
No.
Everyone's going in there to win. So if we were all determined by our goals, or if we were all a product of our goals, we'd all be successful. But it takes, a certain breed to get after it.
If success was guaranteed, then success wouldn't be what it is. What makes everything so attractive is how it's not attainable, how hard it is. That's what makes it worth doing. If you know the outcome, what's the point of doing it in the first place? It's guaranteed. And it's more like, comes back to that compounding consistency. And it's just like, it's almost like a mantra for me. Like to keep going every single day. Keep focusing on what you have to do. It'll come. It might take a month. It might take a year. It might take a decade. And I think, and another quote I've heard is, we underestimate what we can do in a day or a month, but we completely, we can achieve so much more in a year, and we completely overestimate that. I mean, underestimate what we can achieve in a year. Sorry, and it's so true. It's so true.
100%. I think I love that quote. It's like we underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years, but we overestimate what we can achieve in that year.
Yeah.
Because we set such short-term goals, but if you keep showing up consistently, something's got to happen. Something has got to happen if you're doing it correctly.
It's it, and that comes back to that motion too, and pivoting, and it's like, even if you don't know exactly where you need to be, you can still continue on the right trajectory. It's almost like eliminate the things you don't want to do, and eventually you're going to refine that path, and you're going to get closer and closer.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I started to understand was I didn't try. I think I did, but one thing I've seen as well is maybe other people trying to explore too many avenues as well, but not even trying to explore, like just speaking about exploring it.
Oof.
So
yeah.
You talk about all these different outlets, these different goals and aspirations, but there was no doing. And I think the doing is the thing that is most important, because once you start doing it, you're like, oh, okay, I don't really like, say in my instance, I don't really like filming X piece of content. So maybe I'm just going to detach myself a little bit from that. Or that client there, not quite a fit in terms of like the vibe and everything and just where the content direction is going. Okay, I'm going to peel myself back a little bit. But it's like the actual process of me doing it first uncovers the idea of, oh, okay, maybe that's not for me. Or bang, Dylan, love working with him. Like an incredible journey.
Yeah. I agree. It's what you say carries weight. And even speaking about it to other people, it definitely is going to hype you up. But the more you speak about doing things and you continue to not do it, they're small failures. And you might not even realize it, but it's ticking away in the back of your brain. And you know that you'll say things and you don't necessarily hold yourself accountable to it. So when I say something, I mean it. I'm so serious about it. Like if I'm talking about things I want to do, you best believe I'm doing them.
Yeah.
It's this 100K in my mind's done. It's done. You have to have that mindset. I'm still going to do it, but if you talk about all these different things you want to do and you never really follow through, everyone knows that you're just talking, but you're not really doing anything. And it's like, talking about the thing isn't doing the thing. Writing the thing isn't doing the thing. Thinking about the thing isn't doing the thing. You've got to do it.
100%. It's that instant gratification that you get. The idea of you just speak it. So in your mind, you've completed it as well. So it's that dangerous trap of, okay, let's like actually start doing these sorts of things. And I'll call myself out as well. Like I would say, yeah, like time to start the podcast again. And then in my mind, that was like, oh, I've edited an episode.
Yeah.
So it's now like, okay, no, like let's just segment some time in your calendar to sit down and fucking get through the episode. Like just do it.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
Yeah. And I think it was like an Alex Hormozy quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's like, we don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's about building an undeniable stack of proof that we are who we say that we are. And you think about that and you really think about it. You're like, oh my God, it's true. Like prove who you are. By doing all these things, having this undeniable stack of proof that you can do these things, that you are who you say you are, that carries weight.
100%. And the idea of imposter syndrome is one thing that has popped up quite a lot. And I think I see it a lot on social media. And he's just like, Hormozy's incredible. He completely eliminated the idea. He's like, well, you're feeling imposter syndrome because you're not prepared.
Yeah.
As well. Like if you do the preparation, if you do and build up your proof that what you're doing has worked and what you're doing has like succeeded, then why would you feel imposter syndrome?
Yeah. He's classic for breaking so many barriers.
Literally.
And he's unapologetically himself. And he speaks with no filter, but he also he speaks with purpose too. He chooses his words very, very carefully.
So articulate.
Yeah.
Mate, let's talk about UTA 100 and wrap it up. Far out, we've just gone on a complete different trajectory and I love it. I actually loved it so much. What is it about? What's the whole event?
Cool.
Massive weekend ahead.
Yeah, let's break it down. So it's 100 kilometers through the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. It is spectacular. It's Australia's premier ultra race. It's a really big deal. It's held by UTMB. UTMB hosts a number of races in a number of different continents. So you've got Australasia, you've got the States, and you've got Europe. They're the kind of three. So basically it's broken down into, I think it's about 36 qualifying races. Now, if I race, like I spoke about earlier, if I go sub 19 hours in this race, I qualify for the Western States 100, which then moves into one of the other continents. Then again, if you qualify in that race in a fast enough time, I'm pretty sure you have to win one of these, or podium at least. You can go to UTMB, and the race is actually called UTMB. And that is the Trail Mont Blanc. And it pretty much is a 100-mile race through 3 different countries in Europe. And it's the grand slam of ultra running. So that's just kind of to paint an overall picture of what this race is. Now, this race is right down the bottom. This is just an entry-level race.
It's just a cheeky 100K.
I know, but it's still 100K, right? So let's not underestimate
Let's not downplay yourself.
But it's going to be epic. So it actually goes through some indigenous areas that aren't normally accessible to people too. So that is really, really special as well. It's going to be amazing. Like the scenery of the Blue Mountains is incredible. So I think that's going to help a lot with the inevitable pain that's going to come with running 100Ks. And it's going to be a nice distraction, I hope. So I haven't actually run the course. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into in terms of that. You know, we're based in Melbourne here, and I haven't done any training out there. So a lot of training around here. Basically, the course is broken up into 7 checkpoints. You've got, and those 7 checkpoints are essentially aid stations. In those aid stations, you'll have access to nutrition. So they'll supply food, they'll have drinks, they'll have, carbohydrate mixes, electrolyte mixes, probably a lot of soft drink as well. It'll also give you an opportunity to change clothes, shoes, any equipment issues you might have. So they have a thing called a drop bag system, which is essentially you'll pack a bag for, say, checkpoint 1, which is at the 16-kilometer mark. And at that checkpoint, you can have shoes, socks, shirts, maybe your own nutrition if you've been training specifically with a type of gel or a bar. And it just helps break down the race mentally as well. But, okay, I'm going to get to this aid station. I'm going to handle what I need to handle here, and then I'm going to move on. And then also at those aid stations, we have opportunity to see our support crew. Now, not every aid station is accessible during this race because of how remote it is. We are in these mountain ranges where there is no road access. It's single track. It's tight. There is no room for spectators. They can't even get on the course. They'd have to run on it themselves. But at some of the other aid stations, 4, 5, 6, towards the back end, I'll get to see you. I'll get to see my crew. And that's a really big thing to work towards too. When you get into those 50, 60, 80 Ks and you're starting to really feel it, having family support there, super, super, super grateful for that.
100%. How have you gone about prepping in Melbourne as well? Like, you don't really know what the terrain's going to be like.
Yeah.
What's the best practice, I guess?
Yeah, so a lot of hills and a lot of trail. It's very, very different to running, say, a road marathon. If you like, a traditional road marathon doesn't have a lot of elevation, and it's on a flat surface and it's even. We don't really think about like biomechanically how it changes when we run on an undulating steep terrain. Your foot is doing all kinds of things. It's going left and right. It's going up and down. There's a lot of mobility that's required through the joints, through the tendons. And I've learnt that very, very quickly. I've had a lot of pain through like feet and ankles and different parts of muscles that I need to be learning to activate to be able to take on the terrain. And especially over such a long distance, those Ks accumulate and they really start to have an effect. So the training specifically has been focusing a lot on single tracks. So I'll go run down like mountain bike tracks, things like that, where they're up and down, they're hilly, they're uneven, they're rocky routes, lots of that stuff. Lots of steep elevation. We went to Mount Donnabuang. We ran up that. Again, that was 1,200 meters over 6K or something. And it was, a 20-kilometer loop, but there's a really, really steep section there that's nasty. So doing all that kind of training, as I feel, has really prepared me for what's about to come, because this 100K race has 4,500 meters of elevation. So again, it's just unfathomable. You know, we're talking 4.5 kilometers straight up in the air is essentially what I'll be doing. And I've got to also come back down. And we all underestimate the downs. You know, you think you're in the gym and you're training, we're all often pushing up, or it's all about explosive movement. When you're going down, you're jumping, but also like that quad and that knee is just absorbing impact. And that really adds up as well. So I've been, you know, trying a lot of running downhill and things like that. But they have thrown a curveball at me, which is probably my fault because I obviously didn't realize. But turns out there's 10,500 stairs in the race. I'm thinking it's a trail run. Why is there stairs on there? So I didn't even think about it. I haven't done a single stair in this whole time. So that's going to be interesting. I'm trying to let it play in my mind. I'm prepared as I can be. I haven't missed a single session. And that's built that mental strength that we speak about. But I think I'm very well prepared, excluding the steps.
100%. I love the idea of the mobility through the foot as well. Like, I didn't even consider that. Even the downhill, like, I've done the 10,000 steps, and walking down that is just like a pain in the ass because you're literally like, ow. Like, my knee and my quad is on fire right now. So what sort of exercises have you been going through? Have you been seeing like a specialist, or do you feel like it's all been, attended to in your program?
So we've focused a lot on single leg strength during the strength sessions, and you know, the plyometrics as well. So more of explosive movement, a bit of jumping, getting good at absorbing impact, and also absorbing impact holding weights as well. A lot of balancing with the single leg. So if you think about even just doing, say, a Bulgarian split squat, all right? Everyone hates Bulgarians, but we load up that weight and we're standing on one leg, and everything's turning on in that ankle and that leg, and it's really focusing on that. So we've done a lot of things like that as well. Been seeing physio regularly and getting release through those muscles as well. I think that's really important, is keeping everything under control and keeping the inflammation down.
Yeah, I think like when I was in the peak of like powerlifting as well, I'd probably leave my sessions a bit too late. Like it should have been a bit more frequent, where it was like there's so much build up in just muscle fatigue and just like tightening up as well. So being able to like keep your body robust and everything. Shame that healthcare is quite expensive.
Very expensive.
And it's like, it is a privilege to be able to, just like treat yourself and have your body being looked after. But obviously you are going to be completing something which is just like incredible.
Yeah, I think it's very common for athletes to train hard but not recover hard.
Yeah.
And that's what I've kind of done a bit differently, is I've recovered hard. That we're talking making sure I'm getting all the calories in every single day, forcing all that food down, lots of electrolytes, but also stretching and rolling out. We're talking probably once a week getting treatment. Again, very privileged. It's very expensive, but I feel like it's necessary to build the body up, especially because I'm putting myself through this, stressful training block in such a short period of time. The body doesn't have a lot of time to make the necessary adaptations to deal with the added stress load. So trying to stay on top of it as best I can. I've been going to Resilient Recovery in Eltham. They're awesome. And we've got things like, the boots, the compression boots, infrared saunas, hot and cold contrast therapy. So we're getting in the hot bath, then we're getting in the ice bath. All these little 1%ers, just trying to keep everything feeling good. And I'm feeling awesome. I'm feeling really awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Well, it was incredible watching you finish that run at Mount Donaburang, and you hadn't broken a sweat really. You pulled up so mint from that, and I was literally like, he's on.
Yeah.
He's literally on. Driving up and down the mountain with your dad as well. I was literally like, what the fuck is he doing? He's running this up and down a mountain. And I told my dad as well, he rides around that Warburton area, and he was like, what? He ran up and down that. Yeah. So we're looking really, 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 really fine, I reckon. Hey, when did you know that you could start reinvesting in yourself? You sort of, I guess when we first met, we were sort of just like getting to know each other, and you said you had almost fallen out of love with the freelancing, or you felt that there was something higher that was calling for you. When did you realize that you had gotten yourself to a point where, hey, like an ultra marathon's on the card, or, something's on the cards?
Yeah. I mean, people talk about their moment, their pivotal moment. I honestly can't say that I had it. I feel like the business got to a point where I was happy, but I was also feeling almost unfulfilled. And I just felt there was something missing. And it came down to this, like, something buried deep within me. I'm like, I feel like I'm meant for more. And it can come across as quite maybe arrogant, but I just felt like I was meant for more. That my time on this earth is worth more than this company. Now, this company has a place, it serves a purpose, and we help people every day by like building their backyards, construction sites and things like that. But it wasn't fulfilling me enough, and I couldn't figure it out. And then eventually, as I started to train a little bit more, it just started to compound into this feeling like, okay, I'm starting to feel good, and I can see like big challenges that I'm capable of. I started to read, all the self-help books, like we start reading, like David Goggins, even with Cam Hanes, all those different books. And it fires you up. But, you might get fired up in the moment and then you put it down and forget about it. I didn't. And I just kind of stuck to that feeling like, okay, you feel like you're meant for more. What are you going to do about it? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. And I decided to make an active decision. Can't tell you when, but I definitely decided to make an active decision to better myself. And this is my personal resume, my life resume. Put the business aside. We focus so much on building up our, professional resume, getting all these, like having jobs and experiences, all these different things. And we focus so much on that. What about you? What are you doing for you? How are you taking care of your one body, your one mind? We build ourselves up for these degrees, these corporate jobs, all these different things. We forget about ourselves. And then you speak to these people that might be really successful, but they're not happy. And mentally, they're missing something. And I feel like, again, you have to be privileged to be able to spend the time on yourself. But if you make the time for it, it's going to come. And I feel like it's changed my life.
I love that so much. I think there needs to be a reframe on the tall puppy. If I'll call you out on it. You just said, it's a bit arrogant of me to say that you're like not destined, meant for more, right? But in reality, we are. We're all meant for more. And I think there's just this inherent like cutting people down. Oh, why are you doing that? Like, why are you putting yourself out there? Oh, that was a bit cringe, mate. Like that sort of attitude towards it. And I'm not perfect as well. Like I'll banter and take the piss, but I'm starting to realize more and more that I value like having a team and valuing like that teamwork in community and supporting and uplifting others. Like if you want to start your clothing brand, go fucking do it. Like go do it. If you want to put yourself out there, do more content, do it. Like I'm rooting for you. And I'm seeing more and more people post content within my circle as well. And that just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy that people want to go out there and achieve their dreams. Like, I think that's one of the most attractive things ever. Like, if you are putting yourself out there, you are giving it a go. And sure, if it doesn't work, that's all good. We're just like you're not going to die because of it, because of posting something or because of you wanted to chase your dreams. In fact, you might be maybe a few dollars down, maybe a couple hours down because you tried to edit something, but it's that experience as well. And like, okay, maybe that wasn't for me, or maybe that was for me. I really got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
There just needs to be this reframe of tall poppy. Like we should be bringing people up with us.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point that you mentioned where you said you're seeing people around you start to come out of their shell, and it comes back to we're a product of the environment and we become who we surround ourselves with. And I'm not sure if you're changing friendships or anything like that, but even so, the people that you're surrounding yourself with are becoming more like you in terms of their mentality, their ambition, having a crack at different things. And that's probably a bit of part and parcel too. You're probably getting inspiration from other people in your circle and you're giving it back now. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like what better thing than to have a group where, this person uploaded X amount of times, or this person made such an incredible piece of content. I want to strive towards that. And then you just like push each other to like different levels that you probably would not have been able to reach had you just beating them down. Oh, that video's a bit shit. Like that sort of thing. Like,
because as much as you can brush those things off, it does affect you, and especially when it's people close to you. And that's where refining that circle and creating a positive energy around you really allows you to elevate. You know, even when I came in this morning and I was like loving the content, you know, you're posting twice a day, like, and things like that. You're like, oh, like I hope I'm not annoying people. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Where you're building this community. If you're annoying people, that's okay. They don't have to like your content. They can leave, and it's better that they do, because you don't need their energy in your life. You want the people and the community that want to support you, and I can see that growing, and we all can't wait to see where you go.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. What happens during and post ultra?
Oh, see, again, so new to it, and I think that's what's so exciting. I know I'm going in a bit naive, but at the same time, I'm as focused as I can be on it. Obviously, during the ultra, we've got a bit of a plan when it comes to taking in calories and things like that. Pretty sure the body will be burning up to 500 calories an hour at hard intensities. You actually can't replace that in an hour. The body cannot consume, metabolize, and use that as energy that quickly. You know, we're talking, I can take in about 200 to 300 calories an hour you're just trying to maintain. And it's going to be a deficit, most likely, but staying on top of high carb foods, probably a lot of sugar too, and things that settle the stomach. So during the training, it wasn't just running training, it was eating training. I'm running and eating all the time. So like whether it's pikelets with jam and butter, whether it's croissants, some solid foods, and then also, you know, we have specific like BPN products I found work really, really well. So I have the Go Bar, which is like 200 calories, and it's all carbs, and it's really, really tasty. And then we're taking a number of gels as well from BPN, which is, again, is all natural ingredients, so it just settles nicer on the stomach. So plus carbohydrate mix and electrolytes. So that's all going to be happening during the race. Post-race, man, I got no idea. Get on
the beers now.
We're going to get to the finish, and whatever it takes, I'm getting to that finish line. After that, I'm not too sure yet. There's definitely a few things cooking in the background. I'm trying not to give them too much thought, and I'm holding myself back from allowing the mind to wander over them, because I really want to focus on this challenge. I think it's really important to be present, especially when you take on something so big. Like, respect the challenge, and don't go in confident, but also respect it. And, you know, you really got to respect this distance and this race. And I'm very confident that I can do it, but at the same time, I'm expecting there to be a lot of things that I can't control. So saying really focus on that, and then post-race, well, there'll be more things to come.
Yeah, rate that so much. Mate, thank you for your time. I am keen to jump over to New South Wales with you this weekend, and hopefully we'll create an incredible piece. I really appreciated this chat, and I think I definitely needed to get back into it and find more people to chat to. Like, this has made my heart really, really warm, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity that you've given me. And it's been really inspiring, sort of getting a bit of insight into who you are as well and your why. I think, like, as we've been running and recording, I've heard glimpses and bits and pieces of it, but now I've been able to just sit down and really flesh it out in a way that I hope has been very impactful for other people as well. It's almost like the podcast that you need to hear as well.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, mate. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's all good. Be sure to follow at Life with Them podcast, and Dylan's links will be in the bio as well. But we'll catch you in the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you.